Welcome to this explainer. Why do two seemingly identical tasks, like lighting a room or driving down the highway, require vastly different amounts of energy depending on the technology used? We flip switches and turn keys every single day, often completely ignoring the invisible physics operating behind the scenes. But I promise you, viewing the world through the lens of energy transfer actually changes everything.
And that brings us to the core mystery. Why do two machines doing the exact same job use totally different amounts of energy? Seriously, imagine two cars traveling at the exact same speed, or two bulbs emitting the exact same amount of light. One absolutely drains power while the other just sips it. Well, the variable here boils down to a single foundational concept: efficiency.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, what is efficiency? Demystifying the core physics. So, at its most basic level, efficiency is the measure of how effectively a machine or system converts input energy into useful output energy, or work. You put effort in, and you expect a result out, right? But here is the uncompromising law of physics you have to remember. No machine on Earth operates at 100% perfection. You literally never get out exactly what you put in.
To truly understand this toll, let's take a quick look at the math. It's actually quite elegant in its simplicity. Efficiency equals the useful output divided by the input, and then you multiply that number by 100%. So if we're talking strictly about mechanical work, it's the useful output work divided by the input work. Essentially, you take the exact amount of energy you actually wanted the machine to use for your task, and you divide it by the total raw energy you had to feed into the machine just to get it to start. Then you express that final result as a percentage.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how that total input energy is inevitably split. Imagine it like a pie. You have your useful output energy slice. That's the work we actually want, like the spinning of a wheel or the light in a dark room. But then you have this lost energy slice, which typically escapes as heat and sound. That lost slice is the exact reason our efficiency never ever hits 100%. Your total input energy is always split between the work you want and the energy you just lose to the universe. Section 2. Why energy gets lost. The enemies of 100% efficiency. So where does that lost slice of the pie actually go? Well, there are a few physical barriers, or what I like to call the enemies of efficiency. First up, friction between moving parts. Second, heat produced during operation. Third, sound and vibrations. And finally, air resistance. When parts in a machine rub together, they create friction, and that friction naturally generates heat. The clanking of parts or the hum of an engine creates sound waves. All of these phenomena require energy to happen, and they steal that energy directly from your original input source. Honestly, heat and vibration aren't just annoying byproducts. They are literal thieves stealing your input energy. To really ground these abstract physics concepts, let's use a highly relatable analogy: riding a bicycle. Think about riding down your street. As you pump your legs and pedal, which, by the way, is your input energy, some of that energy is immediately lost. It's lost to the physical friction between your rubber tires gripping the road. It's lost to the mechanical friction of the metal chains sliding over the gears. Even the wind pushing against your body, air resistance, is actively stealing your input energy. You have to work so much harder, putting in way more energy, just to overcome these natural losses and maintain your speed. Moving on to Section 3, Everyday Examples of Efficiency, Physics in Our Daily Lives. Think about traditional incandescent bulbs for a second. These things are notorious for massive energy waste. Why? Because they actually produce light by heating a wire filament until it gets so incredibly hot that it glows. The vast majority of your electrical input is lost as heat, not light. You are basically powering a tiny little heater. On the flip side, we have LED bulbs. LEDs produce more light through a completely different electronic process, using just a fraction of the electricity. High efficiency here directly translates to getting way more useful output, which is light, for far less electrical input, simply by eliminating that wasted heat.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the concept scales up significantly. Take standard gas-powered vehicles, for instance. Internal combustion engines rely on thousands of tiny, controlled explosions. In fact, most gas engines lose about 70 to 80% of their energy strictly to heat and friction. That's huge. Electric vehicles, however, completely bypass this. Their electric motors have far fewer moving parts, drastically reducing friction and heat loss, which means they maximize how far the car can travel on a given amount of energy.
Engineers are constantly striving to maximize output across all our technologies. Take solar panels. They're absolutely incredible because they are specifically engineered to capture sunlight and convert it directly into electrical energy without any moving mechanical parts that could cause friction.
Or consider the electric motors inside your everyday household appliances, like your washing machine or your refrigerator. These are constantly being redesigned with tighter tolerances and advanced materials specifically to reduce operational energy loss. This ensures that the electricity you are paying for is doing actual, useful work and not just warming up your kitchen.
Section 4. Why efficiency matters. The big picture for your wallet and the planet. So the crucial point is, why does this all matter? Well, the impact of pushing for high efficiency is massive. First off, less energy is wasted across the grid. That directly translates to lower financial costs for you. Your electricity and gas bills go down. Also, machine performance improves. A machine that isn't shaking itself apart with violent vibrations runs a lot smoother and lasts a lot longer. And finally, demanding less raw energy actively protects our environment. It's a win all around.
We've learned today that no machine is perfectly efficient and that the laws of physics will always demand their toll in heat, sound, and friction. But as human ingenuity continues to push the boundaries of what is possible, minimizing that lost slice of the energy pie, we're left with a pretty provocative thought. Since no machine is perfectly efficient, where will the next great leap in energy savings come from? Keep that in mind the next time you flip a switch or start an engine. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it sparked your curiosity, and as always, keep on learning.